5 goals versus 0 goals. £65 million versus £125 million. Newcastle sold Alexander Isak to Liverpool on deadline day. British record fee. Then immediately signed Nick Woltemade for half the price. 2 months later, Woltemade's tearing up the Premier League. Isak can't buy a goal at Liverpool. Same day, same position, opposite results. Newcastle just executed the perfect scam, and Liverpool had no idea they were being robbed. So how did Newcastle pull this off? How did they convince Liverpool to pay double for the wrong striker? And did Eddie Howe know this would happen all along? This is the story of the greatest transfer heist in football history. But to understand how Newcastle pulled it off, you need to see what made Alexander Isak look worth £125 million in the first place. Alexander Isak at Newcastle United, 2022 to 2025, 3 seasons of pure brilliance. 54 goals in 86 Premier League appearances. That's 0.63 goals per game. Elite numbers. He outperformed his expected goals consistently. Clinical finishing, pace, movement, technical ability. The 2024-25 season, his best yet. 23 Premier League goals. Second only to Mohamed Salah in the Golden Boot race. He dragged Newcastle to Champions League qualification almost single-handedly. PFA Team of the Year. Premier League Player of the Season nominee for the 2nd year running. He was one of 6 players shortlisted alongside Salah, Cole Palmer, and Bruno Fernandes. At just 25 years old, Isak was entering his prime. The complete package. And everyone knew it. Liverpool had been watching. They needed a striker. Darwin Núñez wasn't consistent enough. They'd won the title with Salah carrying the attack, but they needed more firepower. When Isak made it clear he wanted to leave Newcastle in the summer, Liverpool pounced. Negotiations dragged on. Newcastle wanted £150 million. Liverpool offered £110 million. Back and forth, back and forth. Then deadline day arrived. Isak had gone on strike. Refused to train. Refused to play in Newcastle's opening 3 games. The relationship was broken. Newcastle had no choice. They accepted Liverpool's final offer, £125 million. British transfer record. The deal was done, and that's when Eddie Howe made his move. Because Newcastle had been planning this all along. Here's what Liverpool didn't know. Newcastle weren't panicking, they were executing. The moment Isak went on strike in pre-season, Eddie Howe knew he had to sell, but he wasn't going to sell cheap. He set the price at £150 million. Outrageous. Impossible. Liverpool balked. They offered £110 million in early August. Newcastle said no. The standoff began, but behind the scenes, Newcastle were already scouting replacements. They'd missed out on Benjamin Sesko. Hugo Ekitike chose Chelsea. João Pedro went to Arsenal. Every striker target was slipping through their fingers. Then they found Nick Woltemade at Stuttgart. 23 years old, 6 feet 6 inches, German international, 17 goals in 33 games for Stuttgart last season. Top scorer at the under-21 Euros with 6 goals. Bayern Munich wanted him as Harry Kane's replacement. Newcastle moved fast. They bid £65 million. Stuttgart accepted. Bayern were offering only £52 million and dragging their feet. But here's the genius part. Newcastle didn't announce the Woltemade deal until after they'd sold Isak. Deadline day, September 1st, 2025. 2 p.m. Liverpool finally agree £125 million for Isak. Newcastle accept. The deal's done. 8 p.m. Newcastle announced Nick Woltemade. £65 million from Stuttgart. Club record signing. Same day. 6 hours apart. 1 out, 1 in. Liverpool paid £125 million. Newcastle spent £65 million. Net profit, £60 million. But the real profit was about to show up on the pitch. And nobody was ready for what happened next. Nick Woltemade arrived at Newcastle with zero fanfare, no hype, no expectations, just a tall German striker from Stuttgart that most Premier League fans had never heard of. The English media mocked the signing. Newcastle panic buy. Desperate replacement. No preseason, no chance. Even Bayern Munich fans laughed. The same player they wanted as Kane's successor was suddenly not good enough because Newcastle signed him. Woltemade took the number 27 shirt, not the iconic number 9. That stayed vacant. Nobody expected him to fill Isak's boots. Then the season started. Premier League debut. Wolves at home. August, Woltemade didn't score, but the performance was solid. Held the ball up, created space, showed his technical ability despite being 6 feet 6 inches. Second game, Nottingham Forest at St. James's Park. Woltemade gets a penalty. He takes it with a slow run-up, rifles it into the top corner. Unstoppable. Fans call it the best penalty they've ever seen. Third game, he scores again and again. By October, the numbers were undeniable. 5 goals in 6 starts. Only the third player in Newcastle history to score in his first 3 Premier League games. The other 2, Alan Shearer and Les Ferdinand, elite company. His hold-up play was exceptional, his movement intelligent, his finishing clinical. The German media who ridiculed Newcastle were now silent. And at Liverpool, Alexander Isak was living a nightmare. Because while Woltemade was thriving, the £125 million man couldn't even get on the score sheet. And at Liverpool, Alexander Isak was living a nightmare. Because while Woltemade was thriving, the £125 million man couldn't even get on the score sheet. Alexander Isak's Liverpool debut, September 17, 2025. Champions League at Anfield against Atletico Madrid. He started, played 57 minutes, subbed off. Liverpool won 3-2, but Isak was anonymous. 0 shots on target, 0 impact. The pattern continued. Game after game after game. Premier League debut against Burnley, nothing. Against Chelsea, nothing. Against Everton in the Merseyside Derby, nothing. By October, the stats were brutal. 7 appearances for Liverpool, 0 goals, 0 assists. Substituted multiple times before the 60th minute. His match rating against Manchester United in a 2-1 loss, 6.5 out of 10. For a £125 million striker, that's catastrophic. Liverpool fans were in denial at first. He needs time. No preseason. He'll come good. But Arne Slot was losing patience. Isak looked slow, out of sync, lost. He wasn't pressing like Liverpool's system demanded. He wasn't linking play. He was just there. Meanwhile, at Newcastle, Nick Woltemade was doing everything Isak used to do, and more. Let's compare the numbers. Same time frame, same league, October 2025. Woltemade, 5 goals in 6 Premier League starts. Isak, 0 goals in 7 appearances. Woltemade, scored in his first 3 games for Newcastle. Isak, yet to open his account for Liverpool. Woltemade, starting every game, playing 90 minutes. Isak, subbed off early, dropped to the bench. Woltemade, cost £65 million. Isak, cost £125 million. Newcastle spent less, got more. Liverpool spent a British record, got nothing. The numbers don't lie. One club made the deal of the century, the other got absolutely robbed. But here's the question everyone's asking. Did Newcastle know this would happen, or did they just get incredibly lucky? Let's look at the evidence, because this wasn't luck. This was calculated. First, the Isak situation. Newcastle knew his relationship with the club was broken. He went on strike, refused to train, made it clear he wanted Liverpool. Eddie Howe had 2 options: keep an unhappy player who didn't want to be there, or sell him at peak value before it was too late. He chose option 2. But he wasn't selling for anything less than ridiculous money. £150 million asking price. Make Liverpool pay for forcing the move. They negotiated down to £125 million. British record. Newcastle got every penny they could squeeze. But here's where it gets interesting. While Liverpool were negotiating, Newcastle were already scouting replacements. They'd watched Woltemade all season at Stuttgart. 17 goals, physical presence, technical ability, perfect for the Premier League. The scouting reports were clear. Woltemade had everything Isak had plus more. Stronger in the air, better hold-up play, more versatile, and he was available for £65 million, half of what Liverpool were about to pay for Isak. Newcastle moved in silence. No leaks, no rumors, just quiet negotiations with Stuttgart while Liverpool were focused on Isak. Then deadline day. They timed it perfectly. Announce Isak's sale first. Let Liverpool celebrate. Then drop the Woltemade signing 6 hours later. The media didn't connect the dots immediately. Newcastle replaced Isak with unknown German. That was the headline. But Eddie Howe knew. His coaching staff knew. The scouts knew. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Newcastle planned this perfectly, or did they just get lucky? Let me know, because this next part will change everything. They'd found a better player for half the price, and they'd convinced Liverpool to pay double for the downgrade. That's not luck. That's a masterclass. And the Premier League just witnessed the greatest piece of transfer business in history. So what's the final verdict? Newcastle United won the 2025 summer transfer window. Not just won it, dominated it. They sold a player who wanted to leave for £125 million, British record fee, then replaced him with a better striker for £65 million. Net profit, £60 million. 2 months into the season, Woltemade has 5 goals. Isak has 0. Liverpool thought they were getting the missing piece. Instead, they got a £125 million benchwarmer who can't find the back of the net. Newcastle thought they were losing their star striker. Instead, they upgraded and made £60 million doing it. This is what perfect transfer business looks like. Sell high, buy low, get the better player. Eddie Howe didn't panic. He planned, he scouted, he executed, and now Newcastle are laughing all the way to the bank while Liverpool are stuck with the most expensive flop in Premier League history. The biggest transfer scam? It's not even close. Newcastle robbed Liverpool in broad daylight on deadline day. And the crazy part? The season's just getting started. Woltemade's numbers could get even better. Isak's drought could get even worse. This story isn't over. But right now, there's only one winner. If you want more breakdowns like this, smash that like button and subscribe, because this season is going to be absolutely insane.